It started with a bold statement from Nigeria's Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, during an interview with the news agency of Nigeria on Sunday in Abuja. Umahi, speaking about Nigeria's political future, made a comment that immediately captured the attention of citizens across the country. He said, "It is not yet the turn of the Southeast to produce the next president of Nigeria." That single line was enough to send ripples across Nigeria's political space. For a country already tense with ethnic and regional sensitivities, Umahi's words touched one of the most sensitive nerves in the nation: the question of political power rotation and fairness among the regions. What made this statement even more surprising to many was that it came from someone who himself is from the Southeast. Dave Umahi, a former governor of Ebonyi State and now a federal minister, has long been seen as one of the few prominent Southeastern politicians who have found favor in the current administration. So, for him to say that it is not yet the turn of the Southeast, many Nigerians saw it as a shock, while others interpreted it as political loyalty being placed above regional interests. During the interview, Umahi went further to explain that leadership in Nigeria should follow what he called zoning arrangements and national balance. He said that while the Southeast remains an important part of Nigeria, the region should wait for its time, suggesting that power should not be rushed or demanded, but earned and properly negotiated at the right time. His tone was confident, almost final, like someone delivering a message that he believed came from a place of authority and political understanding. But as soon as the words hit the media, the reactions were swift. Commentators began to question his motive. Why would a prominent Southeastern leader make such a statement at a time when Nigerians were expecting unity and healing after years of political division? In the streets of Enugu, Awka, and Abakaliki, people discussed it in small groups. Radio stations picked it up. News channels replayed the video clips of the interview over and over again, while newspaper headlines highlighted Umahi's statement as one of the most provocative political remarks of the week. Some political observers believed Umahi was trying to align himself closely with the current political powers at the center, especially as Nigeria inches closer to the next election cycle. Others said he was simply expressing the hard political truth that, in Nigerian politics, nothing happens without strategic timing and influence. But there was something deeper about how the statement was received. It wasn't just about regional politics. It reminded Nigerians how easily conversations about national development could be overshadowed by talks about who should rule next. At a time when the country is struggling with economic hardship, insecurity, and rising poverty, many Nigerians felt that Umahi's words came at the wrong time. The topic of who becomes Nigeria's next president has always been emotional. Every zone feels it deserves a turn, and the Southeast in particular has long felt marginalized in the power-sharing system since the country's return to democracy in 1999. Many in the region believe they have not had a fair shot at the presidency, despite their contributions to the nation's growth and unity. That is why Umahi's statement carried more weight than usual. Coming from someone from the region, it sounded to many like a voice from within, shutting the door before others could even knock. Still, Umahi defended his words during the interview. He insisted that his comment was not an attack on the Southeast, but rather a realistic assessment of Nigeria's current political order. He argued that leadership should not be forced through emotion or regional pressure, but should follow a natural process of national consensus. He said, "I am a firm believer in justice, equity, and fairness. But we must also understand timing and process. Nigeria is a complex country, and the presidency cannot be achieved through agitation or emotional demands. It will come when the time is right." But those words did little to calm the storm. Political analysts began to dissect every line, and many saw his statement as an indirect way of discouraging discussions around the Southeast's legitimate claim to the presidency. It wasn't long before the issue began trending across major media outlets. Everywhere, the big question was being asked: why would a Southeastern leader say such a thing at this point in time? Then attention quickly shifted to one man, Peter Obi. Nigerians were waiting to hear from him. Known for his calm and intelligent approach to sensitive national issues, many believed that Obi's response would carry weight. After all, he is not only one of the most influential voices from the Southeast, but also one of the few leaders who command respect across all regions because of his integrity and focus on good governance. For days, journalists and citizens alike kept watching to see whether Obi would respond. Political observers expected different possibilities. Some thought he would react sharply to Umahi's statement. Others felt he might ignore it completely, given his usual style of avoiding political noise. But as time passed, it became clear that he would have to say something, not just because of the regional implications, but because Nigerians wanted to hear a voice of reason amid the political tension. And just as expected, Peter Obi finally responded, not with anger or emotion, but with the same calm and clarity that have defined his political character. His response came at a time when the discussion had reached its peak and people were already taking sides. But as soon as he spoke, the tone of the entire conversation began to change. His words reminded everyone that Nigeria's real problem isn't about who becomes president next, but about how to make the country truly work for everyone. It was in that moment that Nigerians realized something. While politicians were busy arguing about turns and rotations, Peter Obi was focused on the real issue, the welfare of the people. And that's where the story truly begins. When Peter Obi finally spoke, it wasn't fiery and it wasn't emotional. It was measured, and just like him. He began softly saying, "I don't think Nigeria deserves to be hearing this kind of talk right now." His words carried calm strength, the kind that doesn't shout but still commands attention. Obi made it clear that conversations about which region should produce the next president were distractions from the real problems facing the country. He said, "At this stage, what Nigerians need to hear is not about whose turn it is to become president. What we should be talking about is how to make Nigeria work again." That statement immediately drew attention because it spoke to the heart of what many Nigerians feel, that too much energy is being wasted on politics and not enough on progress. Obi went on to explain that leadership should not be seen as a personal reward or a regional entitlement, but as a serious responsibility to improve the lives of the people. He said Nigeria's biggest challenge was not where the president comes from, but whether the leaders are ready to serve honestly, transparently, and selflessly. He continued, "We should be focusing on how to improve the lives of our people, how to build trust, how to create jobs, and how to make this country better. That's what matters now." It was a reminder that the real issue lies in governance, not geography. To Obi, what Nigeria needs is a system that puts competence before ethnicity and service before politics. He also touched on how misplaced priorities have become a major setback in the country. According to him, politicians spend too much time fighting for power and too little time planning how to fix the economy, reduce insecurity, and give people hope. Every day, Nigerians are struggling to survive. Instead of talking about where the next president should come from, let's talk about how to fix power, how to stop corruption, and how to build confidence in government, he said. The message was firm but not confrontational. Obi wasn't out to attack Umahi or anyone else. His goal was to redirect the conversation to what really matters: the need to rebuild a country that has suffered from decades of poor leadership and misplaced priorities. He explained that the country's progress depends on leaders who genuinely care about the people and are ready to work for them, not those who see politics as a game of turns. He made it clear that progress does not come from zoning or rotation, but from vision and accountability. When the time comes for elections, it is not the politicians that will decide, it is the people. The Nigerian masses will decide who they trust, who they believe can lead them, and what direction we want this country to go. That line struck deep because it shifted the power narrative back to the citizens. For Obi, democracy is about the will of the people, not the convenience of politicians. He believes that when Nigerians finally decide to choose leaders based on competence, character, and compassion, the country will begin to heal. He also pointed out that constant talk about political turns divides the nation instead of uniting it. Nigeria, he said, has suffered too much from tribal politics and selfish interests. What the people need now is unity, a sense of belonging and shared purpose that cuts across ethnic and regional lines. "I think the time has come for us to rise above politics of division. Nigeria cannot move forward when leaders are busy arguing about where the next president should come from. We need to start asking what each leader is offering, what plans they have, and how they intend to make things better." Obi's calm delivery made his message even more powerful. He wasn't chasing headlines or trying to sound dramatic. He was simply reminding everyone of what truly matters: the need for honesty, service, and direction in leadership. He spoke about how the future of Nigeria depends on decisions made today. According to him, the country cannot continue to waste time debating over positions while millions remain unemployed, infrastructure is collapsing, and insecurity continues to rise. He said what Nigerians need are leaders who will show empathy, listen to the people, and lead by example, not those who talk about power rotation while ignoring the suffering around them. We must focus on putting in real work and being open and transparent with the people. Leadership is not about where you are from, it's about what you can do to make people's lives better, Obi said. His statement reminded many Nigerians that true leadership comes from sincerity and accountability. It was a subtle but powerful response, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. And in that calm voice, Peter Obi once again showed the difference between politics as usual and politics with purpose. He turned what could have been a heated regional debate into a national reflection. By the time he finished speaking, one thing was clear. Obi wasn't interested in who gets power next. He was more concerned with whether that power would be used to lift Nigerians out of poverty and give them a country they can be proud of. That simple, thoughtful approach was what made his response stand out. It wasn't about the Southeast or any other region. It was about Nigeria, one nation that desperately needs leaders who can focus on what truly matters. And that, in Peter Obi's usual calm but firm style, was his message to Dave Umahi and every politician already thinking about 2027. After Peter Obi's calm and thoughtful response, the message was clear. He wasn't trying to engage in political arguments or prove anyone wrong. He was sending a message to every leader in Nigeria, a reminder that leadership is not about position, power, or personal ambition, but about service, integrity, and accountability. In his characteristic manner, Obi shifted the national conversation from who should rule next to how do we fix this country. His response wasn't directed at one man alone. It was directed at an entire political class that seems to have forgotten what leadership truly means. He said that Nigeria's biggest problem is not about turns or regions, but about mindset. According to him, leaders must start seeing themselves as servants of the people, not rulers over them. He explained that until that mindset changes, Nigeria will continue to move in circles, repeating the same mistakes under different faces and political parties. I think the real problem we have is that too many politicians are only after their own interests. But Nigeria will only change when we start putting the people first, Obi said. That simple statement carried the weight of truth. For years, Nigerians have watched politicians argue about zoning, power rotation, and succession while ordinary citizens continue to battle poverty, unemployment, and insecurity. Obi's words reminded everyone that the purpose of governance is not to favor one group over another, but to improve the lives of all citizens, regardless of their tribe, religion, or region. He explained that any country that spends more time debating politics than solving problems is bound to remain stagnant. Nigeria, he said, cannot afford to keep repeating the same cycle of self-centered politics. The focus should be on building systems that work, systems that make education accessible, create jobs, and restore public trust. According to him, the real conversation should be about roads that are not fixed, hospitals that are not working, schools that are collapsing, and the millions of young people without hope or direction. He said leaders who truly love the country will not be talking about whose turn it is, but about how to make life better for those struggling to survive. The world is moving fast, but Nigeria seems stuck in the same arguments. We should be talking about production, innovation, and development, not politics of division, he added. His message reflected frustration, but also hope. Obi believes that the Nigerian people, when united, are powerful enough to demand change. He emphasized that every citizen has a role to play in shaping the country's future, and that waiting for politicians alone will not bring the transformation everyone wants to see. He said what the nation needs now are visionary leaders who can see beyond ethnic and political lines. Leaders who care more about results than recognition and who are willing to sacrifice personal comfort for national progress. Our country has enough resources to succeed, but the problem is that we have not managed them well. We need leaders who will be accountable, transparent, and honest in handling public funds, Obi said. He also spoke about how Nigeria's political environment has been poisoned by greed and insincerity. Many politicians, he noted, make promises only to abandon them once they get into power. That, he said, is the reason the people no longer trust their leaders. To rebuild that trust, Obi said there must be a new kind of politics, one that values truth, fairness, and service. He stressed that it is not enough to win elections. What matters is what leaders do after they win. He reminded Nigerians that every election is an opportunity to reset the nation's direction. The people, he said, must learn to vote for competence rather than ethnicity and character rather than cash. Only then can Nigeria rise from endless political drama to real development. When the time comes, Nigerians will make their choice. And when they do, I hope it will not be based on where someone is from, but on what they stand for and what they have done, he said. That statement summed up his entire position, that the destiny of Nigeria lies not in the hands of a few politicians, but in the collective will of the people. He urged Nigerians not to lose hope, even when the system looks broken. He said change takes time, but begins with awareness. People must continue to ask questions, demand accountability, and refuse to settle for less. He also made it clear that he wasn't speaking for the Southeast alone, but for every Nigerian who believes in fairness, progress, and justice. For Obi, leadership should be a platform to serve humanity, not a ladder for personal gain. When leaders begin to see public office as an opportunity to serve and not to rule, then Nigeria will begin to work, Obi said. His calm words sent a strong message across the political landscape. A message that true leadership is quiet but firm, humble but determined. While others are busy drawing battle lines, Obi continues to remind the nation of what it means to lead with conscience. Many who listened to him agreed that his tone was different. It wasn't about confrontation or political advantage. It was about restoring sanity and dignity to public service. His message, simple but powerful, pointed the nation back to the basics: honesty, responsibility, and genuine concern for the people. He said that politicians should not forget that power belongs to the people and that every position of authority is temporary. What lasts, he said, is the impact one leaves behind. History does not remember those who fought for power. It remembers those who used power to make a difference, Obi added. That statement resonated deeply because it spoke to a truth everyone understands, that no matter how long political games last, what truly matters is legacy. And in that moment, Peter Obi's reply stopped being just a response to Dave Umahi. It became a lesson, a reflection of what leadership should sound like in a country desperate for direction. It was not about defending the Southeast or challenging anyone's view. It was about bringing maturity back into political conversations, about reminding the nation that real progress begins when leaders choose to rise above personal and regional interests. His message was not loud, but it was lasting. It left many Nigerians thinking about what kind of future they truly want, one ruled by selfish ambition or one guided by honesty and purpose. And with that calm but firm voice, Peter Obi once again showed that leadership is not about the noise one makes, but about the truth one stands for.